Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
I don't know.
You have to have a favorite. What comes to mind?
You are listening to Scream with Ryan C. Showers, the podcast for Scream fans just like you. Join Ryan every week as he takes a deep dive into the horror film series that defined the 90s and redefined the genre. Scream with Ryan C. Showers is your source for scene and quote analysis, character dissections, and the latest news about upcoming installments of the Scary Movie franchise.
I hear you like horror movies, Kirby, but do you like them as much as him?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Scream with Ryan C. Showers podcast, where the film critic meets the Scream fan twice a week, every Tuesday and Friday. I'm your host, Ryan C. Showers. Thank you for joining me for today's episode. Before I go any further, I need to thank the producers and administrators of Scream with Ryan C. Showers. First, I need to thank TJ Jones, who does all of the graphic design work from the podcast. Also, I need to thank Ashley Summers, Mark Vieira, Sarah Campbell, and Sam Levy for helping me keep the podcast and Patreon community afloat. Thank you to everybody who subscribes to the Patreon at any and every tier. I'm an independent entity, so any bit of support that comes into the Patreon goes back into the podcast. Joining the Patreon gets you ad-free and early access to every episode, as well as the opportunity to join the community of the show. We have group chats across social media. In particular, Instagram is really the hub of the podcast community. More importantly, joining the Patreon is the vessel in which you would use to come onto the podcast, either in a one-on-one situation with me or a small panel. In addition, there's a guaranteed invite every month to a big group Zoom recording about a Scream topic. An exciting feature of the podcast is the audio commentary episodes. Every Scream fan knows what it was like listening to Wes Craven do the audio commentaries for the original trilogy and Scream 4, with Marianne Maddalena and Kevin Williamson and Patrick Lussier. And what I'm trying to do for my Patreon subscribers is I am going to be performing an audio commentary of a Scream or a Scream-related movie, one per month, every month. And my goal is to try to approach these as I'm doing deep analytical analysis about the characters, about the themes, about just general reaction. So it's something that I'm really proud of and I hope continues to be a cherished part of the podcast. So the commentary is available as a normal podcast episode for anybody to listen to like they would any other podcast, but it will also be available as a video watch along. So everybody, please go over to Patreon, subscribe to Scream with RCS. I would be eternally grateful. So I need to go through and thank everybody over at Patreon who is subscribed as a stab investor or a daddy/mama Ghostface. So the daddy/mama Ghostface of the Patreon are Carrie Tenney, Brett Janovich, Corey Wilson, and Stevie Shears. The stab investors include Allie, Amar Karim, Tamika Jones, David D., Gustavo Mora, Jess Mariano, Joey Nobarini, aka The Vault, Josh Calamari, Josh Carr, Scream Queens podcast, both Josh and Justine, The Horror Project podcast, Kevin Abner, Mark Vieira, PWO5, aka Philip Douglas, Quentin Harrison, and Sam Levy. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Scream with Ryan C. Showers. I'm your host, Ryan C. Showers. Thank you for joining me for today's episode. Today is, of course, October 31st, so happy Halloween, everybody. As Mr. Brackett once said, everyone is entitled to one good scare. So today, I am coming to you with an audio commentary of the movie Halloween, 1978 by John Carpenter, the original, the OG slasher. We are here, baby. The movie that inspired Scream in a lot of ways, the movie that is the blueprint of Scream in a lot of ways. So here we go, right? Okay, this is fun and exciting. So everybody who's listening, if you're listening to the public preview on Apple or Spotify, head on over to Patreon and subscribe to listen to the full commentary. And yeah, it will be fun. You can either listen along like you would for a regular podcast, just in your car while you're driving out for a walk, whatever, or you can put this on overlaid with the movie itself and listen to my words of wisdom as you watch the movie. So it'll be very fun. Okay, so everybody, I am starting the movie here. It is at 000. When you're ready, if you're watching at home with the movie, we're gonna sync it up. So I'm on the count of three. I'm gonna count down from 3, 2, 1, and we're gonna press play at the minute 000 so that I'm synced up with you. Okay, so 3, 2, 1, and play. All right, everybody, here we go. Oh my gosh. The score right off the bat. Oh my God. Like, how iconic is that? So ironically, I was watching Halloween 2. So the movie that comes right after this last night. And I have to say, I was trying to put my finger on why Halloween 2 doesn't work as well as the original. And I really think it is the score. Like the Halloween 2's score is a little bit more electric, techno, whatever. This is classic Fear, iconic. Everyone knows what it is. John Carpenter's Halloween with the iconic pumpkin carving here. A Deborah Hill production. So the John Carpenter, Deborah Hill, introducing Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie, introducing Jamie Lee Curtis. How fun is that? Nancy Loomis as Annie. Isn't that funny that the name Nancy Loomis, considering we have our own Nancy Loomis here in Screamland, and PJ Souls as Linda with an L-Y. Fun. So anyways, so John Carpenter talked about this opening shot in the audio commentary and how simple it was to have the pumpkin lit up, the jack-o'-lantern, just on a blank. I don't know if it was a soundstage or if it was just a room, and just the slow zoom in. So very cool, but very iconic opening credits as well. The black screen, the pumpkin, and the orange lettering, the font, music by John Carpenter. So this movie was made, even though it is legendary in today's world, it was made for only $300,000 back in 1978. And you can really see the hustle and bustle of it, how scrappy it is in terms of its filmmaking. When you pay attention, I don't think that it comes across as a cheap looking or a cheap feeling or a small movie at all. It's only when you're really looking for the frugal aspect of the production, right? So here we go. Haddonfield, Illinois. Okay. I don't know. For the hundreds of times I've seen this, I don't know this chant. This little nursery rhyme that they're saying. Trick or treat. Yeah. So one thing I learned from the audio commentary that I listened to with Jamie Lee Curtis and John Carpenter recently was that they shot this last. So they had to renovate the house, the Myers house, because how it appears when Laurie comes on the porch to put the key into the mat, that's how it was when they first started filming. So they actually had to redo the house and do this last, which is interesting. So just from me as a consumer, okay, the pumpkin on the front porch and the pumpkins, the actual jack-o'-lanterns in real life, henceforth in the movie, I live in 2025. We have plastic pumpkins. We have the pumpkins that we buy from Home Depot and Lowe's and wherever else. We don't have. It's just the effort it would take to carve individual jack-o'-lanterns over and over and over. Insane. And the mess. So, okay, here we go. First, just scare the movie. So that music cue. Da-dong! As the lights go down. It's interesting to look at Halloween from a psychosexual lens, right? One could look at Michael Myers and everything that transpires here as his response to his sister having sex, basically, right? His sister making out with her boyfriend, fondling on the couch, going up to the bedroom, and obviously having sex. So let's go out, and boom, that's when we're first scared. So here we go. The knife is going into the drawer. I'm sorry, the hand is going into the drawer, not the knife going into the drawer. The hand is going into the drawer, getting the knife, and we're walking through the house. So even though this isn't as long as the scene for Scream 1 with Drew Barrymore, there's still something similar here, right? Where the opening scene is so definitive of the rest of the movie. And I'm sure part of Kevin's calculus in the way that he wrote that first scene with Casey Becker was just this big opening set piece that helps be the mission statement for the rest of the movie and the rest of the franchise. Okay, can I just say, quick as fuck I've ever seen in my entire life with Judith Myers and her boyfriend. That is insane, even for teenagers. Come on. So, John Carpenter talked about how he, in retrospect, he was kind of out of his league doing this opening sequence for Halloween, being one long tracking shot. continuous, nonstop. And there is a cut here. We're gonna see it coming up here with the mask. Whenever Michael puts the mask, whenever the camera puts the mask up to to get that POV, they do switch shots. But there we go. There it was. So otherwise, one continuous shot. To get the dolly, the crane, the staging, the lighting, everything perfect, the timing. He said that he was shooting above his weight, but he pulled it off. So, and here we go, the first kill of the 13 movie franchise. Michael! Yeah. And again, and just so scary. I mean, like, it's not like scary in the sense of like, ooh, but like, it's just scary in like in the psychological sense to, that this is the moment that a psychopath is born, right? Where Dr. Loomis talks about the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. There's nothing in there. That this was the triggering event that kind of changed Michael from being a little boy to being nothing, to being a killing machine without empathy, like with no empathy for his sister. It's always funny to me that to see this shot of Michael Myers as a little blonde kid, because I don't think of Michael Myers as blonde. I don't know why. But I guess Jamie Lee Curtis is blonde and they're sisters, the brother and sister, yay, siblings. And yes, I am a sibling truther. I know that Jason Blum got off to the idea that they weren't, but they are. So, amazing shot too. The way that the camera pulls out, and we not only see Michael, we see the parents, we see the car, we see the entire house, we see the scene that's just transpired. But October 30th, 1978. Does anybody else like get very nostalgic about the dates in the title cards of these of the Halloween movies? I don't know why. It's just like it feels warm and fuzzy and cozy. So I don't know. So okay, so we are driving to Smith's Grove with Dr. Loomis and Marion. Interesting that Marion's driving and Dr. Loomis isn't because of the gender roles, right? Usually you would have in a movie like that was made in the 70s, right? Would have the opposite of the older man driving and the impressionable female nurse as the passenger. Interesting. I love her as I love her sass and her attitude. Even though he's very dismissive to her often, I love how annoyed she is. And she doesn't sacrifice that aspect of her personality. It as him, if you say so. I love that line. Again, already defining Michael Myers as this blob entity as opposed to a man, right? Dr. Loomis says this over and over. This isn't a man. He won't be able to sit up. Imagine, have you ever thought about that line and thought like Michael Myers going into a courtroom and just being like literally not being able to sit up, stand, speak, look, just be basically unconscious? I've thought about that. Yeah. You never want him to get out. That is the law. See, even in Dr. Loomis's world, there's a bunch of bureaucratic tape. So scary to see like all these mental patients in white, in their white clothing, walking around in the rain. So creepy. And like, this is a poorly constructed mental hospital to just let everybody, like, to not have a real boundary, not have real gates. Like, anybody could hop up for that, let alone someone as inhuman as Michael Myers, right? So, and there he is, Nick Castle jumping on the car. So, and what happens here with Michael putting his hand on Marianne's face, so creepy, like so scary, like the invasion that happens, right? When someone touches your face like that, let alone a crazy person in the rain, in the middle of the night, when you're already spooked out, going to a mental hospital, right? I've always thought it was an interesting choice by John Carpenter that whenever the hand comes down, before it hits the car, John Carpenter lingers on the hand and lets the hand sit in the rain for a couple of seconds so that we, the audience, know it's coming, and then we have the hand smash into the glass. The evil is gone. Oh my God, John Carpenter. And so he wrote all the dialogue for Dr. Loomis, but some of that has to be improvised. Like, there's no way that Donald Pleasance did not improvise that the evil is gone. He's just kind of flailing around Haddonfield. Halloween. So fun. I like that the leaves are falling here right in front of the camera. Yet here we change shots and it is just like a green vista. This is like spring. Spring has sprung in Haddonfield on Halloween night. So, this is a perfect movie. It really is. I mean, there's nothing you would change from a filmmaking, storytelling point of view, I think, besides perhaps some continuity errors. But one thing that does bother me, and something I would change, so I guess it is imperfect, is the greenery of Haddonfield at this time. Like, being someone who lives in the Northeast, and I know people are tired of hearing me talk about that, but pause. I love that we have like the Strode Realty sign. It just gives like the extra detail, like, oh, this is a real town, real business, real job, real purpose for doing things. And we have Jamie Lee Curtis. I can't wait to talk about her. I'll talk about her for the next 90 minutes. But the thing is, like, my biggest beef with this movie is the green of the trees, of the lawn. Like, this is not what it looks like in the Midwest, Northeast. This is not what Halloween time looks like. No, we're literally think about it this way. It is the day before November 1st, aka, winter is like right around the corner. And this is what they're passing off as Halloween. Oh my God, there's flowers on the tree. I've never noticed them before. On the corner where Tommy and Laurie kind of meet, there's a literal tree with flowers on it. Like, come on, that is not Halloween time. See, it's just too green. This is, I think to really be more definitive as the Halloween movie, it should have had, bright orange, bright red, yellow leaves everywhere. And that's part of the problem with filming in Los Angeles, right? In the suburbs of LA to do this movie. Like, they should have been filming somewhere else. And I get it's an independent movie and I get it, but like, I don't. So, and here we are, the Michael Myers house. This is what it actually looked like before they went back and fixed it up, cleaned it up for the opening scene. And Laurie's putting the key underneath. So, and the scary shot of him behind. Ready? 1, 2, 3, dong! Even like the window and how dirty it is, and how that he's looking through at her, makes it extra scary because of the dirt and the grime. So not only do we see his shadow, but we see the dirty, grimy window and her through it. Scary shit. I wish I had you all alone, just the two of us. Apparently just a song Jamie Lee Curtis made up on the spot right here and then. Interesting. This is like the first time I think in the movie so far that we've heard Michael breathing to this extent. And his breathing is something that defines a lot of the franchise. Even the ending is so defined by Michael's breathing. Yeah. So one thing I really like about Halloween that I think is underrated is the balance between Loomis and Laurie. I think that like it almost gives us Sydney and Gale vibes in the original trilogy, right? In terms of like Sydney has plot A and Gale as plot B. I think that there's something similar here with Loomis and Laurie. But I just think that I think that it fulfills both needs of Halloween, which is the psychology of Michael, but also the current stalking of Michael. I think both of those things add up to the product of Halloween. I think that there would be something so lost if Dr. Loomis wasn't a part of this story. So one of the most iconic moments from Halloween is Laurie sitting in class. And of course, this is alluded to in Scream, where Sidney is in class as well. And there's the empty Casey Becker seat. She doesn't see Ghostface like Michael is here creeping on Laurie, but also just like the score coming in, the way that the camera is positioned in to frame Jamie Lee Curtis. And she's so perceptive. Like, that's the thing about Laurie Strode. She's so intuitive about what's going on around her. There's something, it's almost like the teenagers are distracted by other things, but because Laurie is more pure or she's more innocent, she picks up on things that other teenagers don't. And I love this discussion about fate. It ties into the larger themes of Halloween and the idea of Michael Myers and Laurie's fate is that it was inevitable that she would be faced with Michael Myers, and if you think about it in terms of the sibling aspect, the fate discussion even feels deeper because John Carpenter made this movie without the intention of them becoming siblings later on. You can still look at it from like an existential point of view, right? Of fate as the boogeyman won't die. That's his fate. And Laurie's fate is that she had to face the boogeyman and that all of her friends will be dead. So yet there's still a fight in her to fight that fate at times, right? So it's interesting. That would be a good podcast episode sometime. And Sidney's fate. And my gosh, Sidney talks about fate with Gus in Scream 2. Of course. How could anyone forget? I hate bullies. I hate kids. And like poor Tommy with the pumpkin that broke. That is just awful. Awful. One thing that I think that the first movie of Halloween gets right, that the sequels don't as much so, like, look at this shot of Michael here. We don't see the mask. We just saw the mask from afar with Laurie in class, which is a beautiful shot, by the way. Scary, spooky as shit. But here, we just see the jumpsuit. We just see his shoulders and his torso. We don't see the full body. We don't see his face, which makes it scary. Having this variety of the shape, right? Provides the extra fear, as well as giving us part of his point of view. We first experienced his point of view in the opening sequence, right, with the killing of Judith and his reaction to Judith and her boyfriend hooking up. Even now, like, we're just over his shoulder. We can't see the mask. The mask is completely dark. We just see his hands as he's driving. It's scary. And again, here's something interesting that John Carpenter does too. He frames it mostly within the cage of the back seat of the not barbed wire, but the bars in the back of the car, giving us that extra little bit of fear, like obscuring the camera so we can't fully see what's really going on. Haddonfield, 73 miles away. Again, little details like that add up to a lot. See, now, I was complaining about like the lack of colors on the leaves and the foliage. Here, I think actually to me, this feels like the Midwest with the cornfield in the background, how desolate it is. The train tracks, the train bells and whistles. Fun that Dr. Loomis upgraded from a stupid government car to BMW here. So fun. And Michael's first victim. See, like, this kind of setting is what I'm used to. This is where I grew up. This is what I'm used to seeing when I drive, where I live. So this is extra scary to me. Also seeing like the white drapes of what Michael was wearing and the fact that, there's the mechanic's car. Dr. Loomis is putting the pieces of the puzzle together. He sees the lighter that was in his car that Marianne was using for her smokes. Yeah. He's putting the pieces of the puzzle together, but he doesn't go far enough to see the dead body in the corn. Yeah, in the cornfield or the grass or whatever. So I guess that's Michael's victim number 2. So far, we are, 20 minutes in? Well, not even 20 minutes in. 20 minutes in on the dot. And there are 2 victims already. Good on you, John Carpenter. Or I guess 2 different set pieces, right? One thing that, like, slashers get criticized for is off-screen deaths. But that to me is a perfect off-screen death, right? We can surmise what happened based off of the clues of the white drape, of the car being open, of the lighter, blah 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 blah. Tickets on sale for the dance that that Laurie's going to with Ben Tramer, or not, This is I feel like I'm saying this time after time after time, but this is one of the most iconic scenes too, of the girls walking home from school. I love the dialogue here. So allegedly, like, how John Carpenter and Deborah Hill always talked about Halloween was that, like, Deborah wrote all of the girl talk like this, and John Carpenter wrote all of the Loomis talk, all of the darkness within ourselves. Totally, yeah. Annie is so funny. Old Jerko got caught. She is, like, such a negative person, but I love her. I get her. I feel the cynicism. I understand it. I have a place for that. I forgot my chemistry book. Also, isn't this hilarious, the way that Linda talks about who needs books for like 10 minutes right now while Laurie feels Michael's presence? Who needs books anyways? As she's just going on and on and on. It's like diarrhea mouth. Meanwhile, there's Michael driving by. Linda here is so funny. Isn't that Devon Graham? I think he's cute. Meanwhile, damn no, it's not Devon Graham. Hey, jerk, speed kills. Scary, and like that's something like in today's world, even like, I feel like we are sometimes, even I feel the urge to be extra sassy like Annie was just here, but you never know what people are going to do and how fucking crazy people are. So, yeah, interesting. Like the whole stopping. Someday you're gonna get us all into deep trouble. That's such an old person's line. That's such a boomer line and boomer way of talking. I hate a guy with a car and no sense of humor. Again, it's like, Annie, what did the world do to you? You're like, I wouldn't want to get you in deep trouble, Linda. Oh. My favorite line from Halloween right here. 3 choices. Watch the kids sleep, listen to Linda screw around, or talk to you. Oh my gosh, so great. One thing I didn't get to mention here with Michael passing them. So not only, let's just say no siblings, right? And he's fascinated with Laurie for another reason. He's fascinated with her because she went to his house. She came on his territory and stepped on his land, right? And that's why he is targeting her. And so he's following her and Tommy, right? Because he followed Tommy to school. And now he sees the 3 girls together driving by. And Annie even goes as far as to pick on him by yelling speed kills. And that's why he becomes fascinated and wants to kill the 3 of them. So it's like Laurie's. Oh, and there's the iconic John Carpenter shot of Michael behind the shrub staring at them. So creepy. Again, this would look better with fall foliage. It's just so interesting that the domino effect of Laurie Strode going onto his porch. She happens to be with this little kid, and then her friends get pulled into it as he's creeping around them all day at school, walk home from school, blah blah blah. So even though she is kind of literally a Nancy negative, Annie is so entertaining. Like, she is I love watching her. I think she's hilarious. I love her personality. It just bounces off the page. She's one of the greatest best friends in horror history. Obviously the blueprint for Tatum. It's tragic. You never go out. I don't. I think you're wacko. You're seeing men behind bushes. Oh my gosh. Even there, well, home sweet home. It's like Annie is not amused by anything. So Jamie Lee Curtis mentioned this moment in the audio commentary as one of the biggest jump scares ever in this movie, but in horror history. Ooh, yeah. And it's the classic trope where, you're focused on the danger you saw, and then whenever you least expect it, an innocent character pops up. Everyone's entitled to one good scare. The line that would be repeated over and over throughout the years, throughout the franchise, notably by none other than Jamie Lee Curtis's mother, Janet Leigh, in Halloween H2O. Interesting that we never really got to go in and see the Brackett house. I wouldn't even be able to tell you. If someone asked me to visualize and like describe what the house looked like, I wouldn't be able to. And even though Annie and Sheriff Brackett are some of the most important characters, right? So interesting. Again, this is spring. Look at the ground. It's like a spring shower just hit Haddonfield, and everything is just bustling green. No Halloween decorations too. I think that was something that Jamie Lee Curtis mentioned in the audio commentary, is like how commercialized Halloween has become since this time, in terms of the decorations and the elaborate costumes and blah, blah, blah. Even the costumes in this movie are pretty simple, pretty basic. It's a relic of a different time. But, if you think about it, this movie in some ways was a proponent of the commercialization of Halloween and the society's obsession with Halloween, right? Another scary as shit moment, Laurie watching Michael, and he's standing in the neighbor's laundry. And even so, she has white sheets, similar to what Michael was just wearing at Smith's Grove, right? And I like that John Carpenter gives us this long shot to the phone, and then it starts to ring. That's great filmmaking. That's great directing. One thing I don't get is Laurie Strode having that stupid, ugly hat on her wall as a decoration. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this public preview of the commentary for this month. If you would like to listen to the complete audio commentary for the movie, please head on over to Patreon, Scream with RCS, subscribe at any tier to get the audio for this movie, for the audio commentary. Or if you subscribe at a higher tier, tier 2 or above, you can get the video for me performing the commentary while watching the movie. So again, everybody, thank you so much for supporting the podcast.